Let's see if my AirPods are good to go.
All right.
How do I? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it's better. It's weird. The screen share's not working.
Watch it. You can watch it. You can watch it.
I almost found it.
You can watch it.
I almost bend it over. I'm not gonna let you do that.
All right, are we live? It's no good at all to see yourself and not recognize your face. Out of my... Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this Roku. So what'd you do today?
Haircut, man. That was the highlight of my day.
Oh yeah, let me see it.
My webcam is covered by my monitor, so I won't be able to get on video.
Cut your hair.
Mark from the bro. He's good, bro. It's a good cut.
Who's Mark?
So one of Saeed's boys.
Oh, the barber?
Yeah.
The same guy?
Yeah, same guy.
Oh my God, no.
A couple more minutes here. We'll get started at 8:15 exactly. Just allow a couple more.
Word, are we live right now?
Yeah, we're live. I just threw out some links and stuff.
Do we have any viewers?
So 5-6 people on this, right?
Out on my own. It's such a scary place. Ooh. Yeah,
Turn your volume down a little if you can.
what volume?
Mic volume.
The volume of my mic?
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Zoom settings. Should be able to fix it.
Out of my own. Should
Cut out. What'd you say?
I turn on video?
I don't know if they'll be able to see it or not. I don't have video.
Screw it. Let's have it on. See, maybe they can see me. They can't.
No, they can't. I'm looking at it right now.
All right, so I'll just turn it off.
What time is it?
8:11.
Cool. Right, we have a few more minutes. I was looking for something. There's a. I guess I gotta look at that afterwards. There's a setting for. My video on
We are live, baby. We are live. Can they hear us? Can they hear what
Yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
and stuff?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna send you this picture. I'm gonna Discord it to you. This is the Roku markup I just did. It's such a scary place. Ooh. Damn, Memorial Day was so ass this year. Tell me not.
All right.
It was pretty ass.
All right, let's just get started.
Okay, cool.
All right, so welcome to the live, guys. To start off, we just have to start with the disclaimer. Traders Capital or myself or Joseph is not a broker-dealer. Traders Capital engages in trader education and training. We offer a number of products and services, both online and in person. We also offer web-based interactive training courses on demand. The seminars given by Traders Capital are for educational purposes only. This information neither is nor should be constructed as an offer or a solicitation of an offer to buy or sell securities. You shall be fully responsible for any investment decision you make. Such decisions will be based solely on your, all the rest of that. So, this is the first time we're doing a live stream on YouTube. If this goes well, we'll just continue doing it on YouTube. Otherwise, we'll switch over to Twitch. You guys can just give your feedback at the end of this, like based on the quality and stuff, because we don't really know as we're streaming it. But as far as the schedule goes, Sundays around this time, 8 o'clock, we're going to do a week ahead breakdown of the upcoming week and the stocks we're watching and more like long time frame analysis type of stuff. And then Monday mornings, we will do a morning watch, like a game plan for Monday. And then Wednesdays at 4:15, right after the market closes, we'll do some trade reviews, whether those are our personal trades, my trades, Joseph's trades, or members of our community that reach out and want to share their trades. So there's more to come on the schedule. Nothing's really set in stone. So let's see where that takes us. All right. Joseph, is my trade station up on Zoom?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, so first things first, let's look at the futures. Expand this here. All right, so futures are pushing 2970s here. We're working with the high of like 2990. Coming down a little bit into the support, another support area here. Something to look for coming into the night and into the morning. Let's see, how we defend this support. There's sort of an extended flag here on the S&Ps. More or less, we're looking for hopefully an outsized move, whether it's to the downside or to the upside. Some people are out on Twitter right now saying like we're gonna have a 3,000 open on the ES and SPYs, which is totally possible. But let's see where it takes us. So I'm going to start with the SPYs. This is the overall market. We're going to look at longer term levels for the SPYs. So we have this rejection area here of 298. SPYs have had a hard time sort of holding and following through on this 298, 297 area. So that's definitely going to be on watch in the coming, just in the near term, the next few days. We want to see a move outside of this range, perhaps, whether it's to the upside or the downside. 292 and 298 are sort of the SPY ranges for me right now. I would say an inflection level would be right around here. This is 295. Yep. This is 295 would be sort of an inflection area, pivot point. And yeah, I mean, on the upside, I have level here of 305 and then 309 and change. On the upside, those can be some rejection points. And then lastly, we get there, 313, maybe even a little lower, like 312 and change. No, that's exactly 313. So yeah, those are some upside levels. And then on the downside, I would keep this as a level. This is the 288 and 50. And then another downside level would be 285.34. So those are your key supports and resistances for the SPYs. Moving on to volatility next. So moving on to volatility, this is the volatility index. We saw a pretty balanced sort of 5 days in volatility last week. This is something that we want to continue to monitor in the week, sort of zooming into like an hourly chart, 5 days. You can see that volatility was sort of all over the place. There's no true pattern in volatility. There's no, correlance. Maybe we see a vol spike here, indicating more fear in the market, or we see a break here to the downside on volatility, and the market starts floating up. That's on watch for sure. And then last thing for the internals we want to look at are the earnings. In my opinion, it's like earnings season's kind of over. These will be interesting. Salesforce and CRM. I believe Canopy, CGC, is also reporting. Not too sure about that, but yeah, Ulta will also be an interesting one. But these are more companies that I'm going to be looking for next week, as they are reporting on Thursday. I don't like to trade them the day of the earnings, or through earnings, or even the day after earnings. I typically like to wait for the second day, because those second day plays like to usually set up a little bit more. But I have my eye on Costco and Salesforce, CRM, as well as Ulta. So that's it for earnings. Now let's take a look at the economic data coming out for this week. Some key stuff right off the bat is probably the consumer confidence index. That's tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then the new home sales also at 10 a.m. These are some things that the market will definitely take a look at. And these are the previous readings. So we're going to be looking to either beat that or come in with an estimate lower than that. Thursday we have jobless claims as always. This one was interesting. GDP second estimate. I don't know how much of a factor this one is going to play, because I don't think it's exactly the GDP, but let's see. It's more of like a correction, or basically it's just another reading for Q1, depending on how investors see that. Let's see how that number comes in. but that's not really showing us the Q2 results. So coming forward, it may not be that important. On Friday, we have another consumer sentiment, 10 a.m. And that's about it. None of this stuff is not too important for market movement. So that is the economic and the earnings calendars for this week. Okay. So let's jump into some stocks that I'm watching for this week. So to begin with is Baba. Now, daily. So actually how we're going to start off all of these are we're going to take a look at the fundamentals and take a look at the news flow surrounding each of the names really quickly before we go ahead and break the chart down. So I'm going to use Finviz for this, for the fundamental readings. This stock has a RVOL of 266, average volume of 20 million, just about, beta of 1.6 and an ATR of 7, paired with an institutional ownership of about 50% and pretty weak short float. So this stock actually came up as one of the top traded names on Friday. So let's see why that was. I personally did not trade the Friday session, so I'm a little behind on the news on this Baba. All right, so it seems like, okay, so there are on Friday. Here it is. Beat by 44 cents on EPS, and revenue beat as well. So the revenue beat was by 860 million plus 22% year over year. Then the Q4 non-GAAP estimate is beat by 44 cents, and the GAAP estimate is beat by 4 cents. Okay, so this was a pretty good earnings. Not extremely strong, but definitely one to take a look at. It seems like the street was expecting it to go higher. Let's just jump into like a 5-minute and see the gap. So you can see they reported earnings. It seems like they reported earnings on Friday morning, and the stock took a huge dip and continued to sort of slowly trend lower as the day went on. All right, so this is telling us that the street didn't really like this. So let's go ahead and make some levels on this. So what I'm going to be watching is definitely the low of day. This will be a critical level coming into the market tomorrow. So this is like, let's call it 199. Then for further support areas, perhaps we can call this one 195.50 cents. Call that support. And then on the upside, it's probably going to be a daily candle breakout 203. I would also add 200 as a level, but that's something that I would do in the morning because I sort of go in more in depth with the charting in the morning. So let's take a look at the 240-minute chart. Yeah, this looks like a good good support area here, good support area here, and then some resistances we can throw in here. Oh, this was also a resistance. So we have 203, 205 as resistances, even 207. We'll see, it might defend this trend line here. Maybe we see a hold there and maybe they buy it back up or keep ripping it lower. Those are just some primary like long-term levels on Baba. Okay, so next stock, Facebook. The Facebook is going to be probably a higher watch for me. I like the way it trades. Let's take a look at the fundamentals real quick. So relative volume of 127, pretty good. Average volume of 27 million, very liquid name. Sort of on the lower beta range with the 117 beta rating and an ATR of 7. Institutional ownership of about 80%. And that is about it for the fundamentals. Still in play for me. I would definitely call this in play in a market like this. And I like how they've sort of brought this daily chart
you can see that there's a lot of volatility within this. So let's just dive deeper into this. We're going to have some resistances at the 236 and the 237.30 areas. These are all-time highs. I'm going to call this as an inflection. 232 is going to be an inflection point for me, and I'll explain why in just a second. Actually, I'm going to make it the 50-cent mark, so 231 and 50 cents. So I'm going to call this an inflection area because there's a way, when you're trading this sort of setup on the daily where you have a stock that's in all-time highs and it is strong with the market, you can find a good range trade here. So, if I was shorting this thing, I would be looking to cover. I'd look to get short at the inflection and start covering in these blue support bars. The stock is in the all-time high territory, but it's not a final game plan per se. That's something that will sort of come in with more detail tomorrow morning when we see some pre-market action. So yeah, 223.50 support, 228.25 support, 231 inflection, and then we have the two resistances on the upside. I'm not going to do this right now, but the way that I will calculate more resistances on the upside is by adding the ATR to the previous high on a 25%, 45%, and 105% interval. That's something that we'll go over in the morning when the pre-market data comes in. So that's Facebook. Next on the list is NVIDIA. So I believe NVIDIA got some news as well. Let's take a look. And Facebook had a push last week because they announced this new partnership feature with Shopify, and it was something to do with small businesses on their platform. So that's the news that they're sort of writing out for Facebook. NVIDIA, it was a recent earnings. So this is probably like a second, third day play. Yeah, so May 22nd, it looked like there was the earnings report. So today's what? 22nd was on Friday. So yeah, this will be the second day play. So let's take a look at fundamentals. All right, so for NVIDIA, we have an RVol of 162, average volume of about 16 million, has a thicker ATR of about 13, which I prefer, beta of 134, and an institutional ownership of 72%. So main things that I'm going to be watching in this name are the call sweeps and the institutional flow to sort of gauge the sentiment. I like where we are on the daily chart here. Clean range breakout can give us either more all-time highs or it can begin the fade on the name. So there's the support, there's the resistance, pretty simple stuff, very easy to read sort of chart. Same thing on the upside, I'll be looking for some targets in the ATR, using the ATR calculation system for all-time high setups. And on the lows, I'm going to be looking to not necessarily cover position here, but I'll be looking to watch this level. I'm just going to call it a support for now because I want to see how it reacts there. Perhaps it's an inflection level. Maybe it's a spot where you build a longer term position, add more to it for the upside. And yeah, that's about it for NVIDIA. Those are going to be 347.50 on the downside support, and then 340 and 70 cents as a support. And on the upside, resistance as of right now is going to be 364. And then in the morning, we'll look for more concrete levels. Now we have Boeing. So Boeing offers some good range trades. Check it out. RVol of 6.4. So this stock has a good, has a really good volume, average volume of about 32 million. You can see, on some days it will get above its average. So it's a pretty good stock to trade. ATR is about 8.9, and then we have a beta rating of about 1.5. Institutional ownership of 62% and 3% short float. So not the strongest on the fundamental side for sure. But I like how the stock has nice sort of range trades. We've seen it offer some good range trades in the past. So I'm gonna mark this up on this chart instead of the daily because you can sort of see more. We have resistance here at 144, 148. Then we have some supports coming in. We have some supports coming in here at like 136, 133. And that is about it for now. This is more of a stock that I will like dive into a 5-minute and sort of map out in the morning. But just judging by this chart really quickly, it does look pretty promising for the AM session. Let me just turn on the post market again. Yeah, so it held this range pretty well. Definitely going to be a little bit more biased to see the downside, and that's because it offered some really good momentum here, really tradable here. So let's see where they bring this in the pre-market. This is actually a pretty good call out. We have Apple. The market names haven't been too interesting for me lately. Apple, Microsoft, because they've been really disconnected. I think, like low R vols, yes, they get a lot of volume, but I just feel like it's not my style of trading. I did take a look at Microsoft before this, and I wasn't a fan of it. I actually prefer Apple more. Apple is going to be an alert name for me. I don't want to trade the downside. I definitely want to trade the upside. If market can push, and then this thing can sort of get back to all-time highs, I'd love to trade this as a ATH breakout play above the 327.55 resistance area. Next is Roku. I'll let Joseph talk about Roku. Let me do Tesla real quick. Tesla offered some momentum on Thursday, if anyone caught it, but for the most part, the thing's been range bound. Pulling up a fundamental on this, it's definitely gotten weaker over the last couple sessions, last couple of weeks. It's definitely gotten weaker. 0.56 R vol. I can just tell like the average volume is dropping 18 million. Tesla only traded 9 million, not even 10 million shares come Friday. Beta of 116 and an ATR of 40 still pushing. Main thing that really interests me in this stock, as always, is the mid-grade institutional ownership and the short float. So on the chart, we'll be looking for this flag breakout. Those are going to be the key, not this one, key watch sort of levels for me. Maybe if this thing gets some pre-market movement, possibly we can see a range trade inside it. I don't even want to look at the intraday charts right now. As for levels, like we're really looking at this tight range of 794 to 845. I would say even 835 has been like critical here. Some things on this stock that I've noticed is it's really held up. Market can go down, market can push up, and it will still hold up pretty well. It's sort of, to me right now, what it seems like is it's waiting on a catalyst, whether that be a technical catalyst or a fundamental catalyst. I feel like the stock is really just waiting for a reason to either drop 50, 60 points and start, a new sort of pattern, or on the other side push up towards its sort of key levels of like 880s and then the 900s, and we'll see from there. But as of right now, it is offering like this tight sort of consolidation phase here. It's a good time to put on some sort of like long or short idea if you're swing trading something like this. This could possibly be a good spot. You have these resistances here around like 875, 835 for sure. And then on the support side would be I'm just gonna call it 800. I know the levels pretty well on Tesla, and I would call it 800 on the support side. And then you have the 760, 757 support as well. That's a really strong area. The 757 actually is a really strong area that the stock has defended multiple times. Um, so yeah, that's Tesla. Let's see what it brings this week. Next on the list is Disney. So Disney actually had a lot of news behind it. Joseph, if you want to chime in and sort of break that down, here, I'll go over the news first on this one. So
Yeah, so Disney actually had a really, really strong rumor about having talks with the NBA to resume their streaming in Florida. So, as you guys all know, during this quarantine, there aren't really sports being played on air. So, if Disney can get the NBA to indeed start streaming live sports, that's going to be a really, really good game changer for them. It's going to be a big change in catalyst. And as you can see during this past last week, what happened was we gapped up above 110. And right now we're sitting just below 118. So something that I'm going to be looking for the upcoming week is to see if I could get into a range play between 118 to 120 and possibly then 123, depending on how much volume we're getting that day. But I do think that Disney is going to be something that we're going to be looking really, really sharply to as parks start to reopen. You know, today was Memorial Day, and I hope all of you guys enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I could, but something that I did notice was that there are a lot of people going out. Things are reopening, and I think hopefully this whole pandemic just sways off sooner than later. And Disney, as you guys all know, makes a lot of money off their amusement parks. So they're actually in talks with the government on forming some planning on how they want to reopen and all the safety measures. So that's probably why that they gapped up so much in just a few days. If this continues to look strong, I'm probably going to be looking to get long somewhere around 120. They gapped up on, I think, Wednesday, just before the close. They gapped up and then they sold off the following day. But 120 is a really, really good area to get long, considering that it was this week's resistance. But I'm also going to be looking for a short play in this, depending on, if anything happens below 116, I might be interested in shorting to 113. Do you have the markup I have?
oh, you
I
said
think I Discord
right. Was it
Yeah.
Disney as well?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
So this is what you had. This is what Joseph has for the Disney chart.
Yeah, that's the 20-day. You can see it just looks really, really strong. I kind of pointed out where the volume is right there, just increasing heavily. And that 120 again area is an area that looks a little bit congested. And if news keeps flowing up, I will get long here and probably try to scalp it to 121, 122, and then 123. 123 is where there's a little gap that can be filled. So if we see a 123 break, we can possibly see a 125. But I will definitely be open for either side, long or short. I'm just assuming that because we're so strong, because we have such good flow of news, we can see this get higher. And that kind of goes hand in hand with Roku, but we're going to talk about Roku later.
Yeah, I'll give you Roku last. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it for Disney. I think you covered all of it. It's offering a good sort of flag breakout, perhaps. Let's see where they take it. I think it's great that the stock has so much news hitting the tape. They're going to try and do some price discovery on this in the coming weeks. So definitely going to be watching that. Just to go over the fundamentals real quick. Institutional ownership of about 65%, and then you have an ARVL of 0.4. I expect this to sort of park up in the next few days, so watch out for that average volume rating of 24 million, which is pretty good for the stock of this caliber. ATR of 447. Perhaps it gets a little wider in the coming days with all this news flow coming in, and a beta of 109. So follows the market pretty well as a beta lead. Okay, so moving on, we have just a couple more stocks here. So first one's Twilio. So this was one of the earnings names that sort of just took off. You can see they came in, they reported earnings here, and the stock just went off from there. This one offers some really good fundamentals, I believe. No, it wasn't this one. It was something else. Yeah, but nonetheless, I wish this average volume was a little bit higher for my taste. I like to trade the stocks with like 10 million plus volume. Does have a nice like thicker ATR if that's what if that's your trading style. ATR of 10.45 and a beta of 1.4. Now, this is actually the reason why it's on the watch list. This pairing of a high institutional ownership plus a really, this is considered a pretty high short float, 12.8%. We saw this similar pairing in Beyond when they reported their earnings or whenever it was the news hit. The stock just really, really gets short squeezed. And, if you look at like a 5-minute chart here, you can see Friday was like one of a weaker day in the market overall. But let's see. It's offering some good like opening drives. Clearly, I mean, right here, this is just a monster move up. Same thing here. That's a monster sort of move up. Not as strong as that one, but when this thing does run, it tends to run pretty quickly. And I'm not saying necessarily to get long this thing right now. It may have found the top. I don't really know. But we're definitely going to be watching the daily ranges on this. I've never traded this stock, to be honest with you. So we'll see. It looks interesting. Definitely one of the talked about names right now. There are a lot of people trying to call the top in this. There are a lot of people trying to fade the name on extension, and there are a lot of people chasing it as well. So we want to see where they take this next week. I'm just going to throw up it's had a run, from 119 bucks to 210, just about. These are the levels, just the 209.75 for the highs, and then the 197.75, and we'll use the ATR system for sort of the all-time high plays. Moving on is Netflix. So Netflix Daily, let's check out that. Netflix Daily. Netflix is on watch actually because it still is offering good momentum in my opinion. This 15-minute down move here, if you're trading the momentum, could have worked. If you're shorting like VWAP and risking like right above it, you could have stayed short almost the whole day. Same thing here on Thursday, just a monster down move. So they're sort of beating this up the last few days. I'd say this session they really beat it up. Not to sort of call the bottom or anything, but this is a really strong support, I think. At this 425, 420 area, even if you give it a couple dollars of slippage, I'm going to be watching this thing on the defensive side for a support buy. Typically, we've seen Netflix perform better when the market is lower, and that's because it's sort of one of these coronavirus names. Stay at home company that can produce more revenue when people are stuck at home. That's Netflix's business model, and that's definitely one of the relationships that we've seen in the last few months with Netflix. That's why it's trading at all-time highs. But let's see what this offers us. On the upside, we have the resistance area 438.87, 447, and then 457 and change. And on the downside, we have some supports. I'm gonna zoom in actually. Yeah, so we have some really, really like strong supports here. You can see all these wicks here piling up. We have the 424 support, 415 support. And then the last one for me is going to be right here at 407.65, like 408 area, give or take. So that's Netflix. Beyond, I got burned in this last week. I definitely got burned in this last week trying to chase momentum. You know, just trying to hit these breakouts. I mean, it didn't work, which is all good. You know, it's not going to work every time. This is definitely weaker on the spectrum. I'll go over the fundamentals real quick, but I'm just simply watching for a range breakout here or possibly some news. This is also one of those names that just needs a catalyst. You can see that. You know, just based on the volume here, immense drop off in volume. Love to see it pick back up and sort of like keep it on watch for that. I've actually had some really, really interesting trades, swing trades in Beyond. When the volume does drop off, I tend to like get really good deals on this premium, like when it's choppy like this, and possibly looking at a swing trade there. So Beyond, really weak. I mean, you know, volume of only 3 million posted on Friday with an average volume of 8, and then it's got that the ATR still holding up pretty well, 10. This one doesn't have a beta rating for whatever reason. This is the reason why it interests me: the low institutional ownership paired with the high short float. So if you remember with Twilio, it's actually the inverse. It's just high institutional ownership paired with low short float. So I haven't traded it, but that's sort of an interesting relationship to sort of base like a broader thesis on. All right, the last two were not my own. These were requests that we got in the chat. We have Amazon here. Amazon, this thing, like, you got to pick your spots here. Stock doesn't offer too much momentum, in my opinion. This is something where, like, you know, you're going to pick your spot and you got to stick with it. And if you're trading the option, you have to be very, very, very careful. Right off the bat, looking at fundamentals here, you have a RVOL 4.6 and a beta of 134 with a really, really massive ATR of 67. Institutional ownership of about 60% and pretty much no short float. On a stock like this, you know, it's a market relationship stock as well. It's you know, it's at all-time highs. It's been at all-time highs. It was a stronger than market name into the coronavirus, and this is like basically a Netflix, you know, equivalent. You know, if we see the market come in lower, and you know, big money starts flocking to, you know, Amazon, Netflix, and like Zoom and all those names again, then yeah, this is totally on watch. But other than that, I'm not going to be watching this. You know, it depends on the market. You want to sort of understand the relationship that it has with the market at the current time. You know, typically Amazon is actually a market name. So like when we were in the bull market, you know, back in January, December, we were at, you know, SPY 320, 330, whatever it was. Amazon typically moved with the market, and you know, we can see that now is not really the case. You know, if you look at SPYs versus the Amazon, it's like completely different. It's sort of taken on a new relationship with the market. So just be cautious of that. Make sure you understand that. The next one is Shopify. So Shopify is still stronger than market. Is there any news that hit the tape on this? Oh, right. This is still pushing on the this is still pushing on that Facebook news, perhaps. I don't know what this crypto thing is. Cryptocurrency payments processor, coin payments. Okay, all right. So I gave it a little push. New financial products. Okay, so this is good. Shopify announced new products at its Reunite virtual event, including a business account built for independent business entrepreneurs. We'll give. Okay, that's cool. So basically, they're announcing business checking. You know, this I'm digging into this a little bit more because I've been actually waiting for them to do this. That's interesting. They don't say exactly, but basically Shopify right now uses Stripe as their payment processor. I don't think they own them, but you know, I always thought that the next move for Shopify is to like start something like this, where like, you know, they start processing payments, like they start, you know, offering their businesses the money. So this is actually a pretty big feature. Highly anticipated. Let's take a look at the fund. Pushing an R-vol of 0.74, average volume of 371 million with an ATR of 40, beta of 152, and the institutional ownership is 72%, paired with a 3% short float. So this is a pretty good combo. This can keep pushing if we see the market, keep on ripping new highs. Jesus Christ, stocks at 825. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it really does seem like a name that's forming in the market. This is worthy of a watch. Oops, my bad. Yeah, this is definitely worthy of a watch. Whether it's a fade or it's a continuation to the upside using an ATR strategy or just momentum. This is something to watch. Another thing, though, to mention with this name is that the options on this are just also very, very scary. They're very high spread. So, there's a lot of times you'll have some difficulty getting in and some difficulty getting out. So those are just some things to look at. But, the stock, the equity looks good itself. I mean, look at what I'm circling here on the bottom, holding that, above the volume average on a 20-day period on an hourly chart. So that's a good, it's a good stock to watch. It's definitely in play. All right. That's my whole watch list. There was a lot this week. I'll just leave it here if anyone wants to sort of copy it.
Pull up Roku. We never went over Roku.
Oh, Roku, yeah. Roku's on Discord, right? Yeah.
No, it's the first one.
Yep. Wait, no, they're both Disney. Or this is it.
No, the first one. Yeah.
I see. Go ahead.
All right. So with Roku, I've been looking at this for a while. And I actually took a really nice swing position on Roku when it reached the 108 area. As you can see on Friday, we really consolidated a lot at that area, and it's held really strongly. So right now we're also bidding above it, which is good. But the only thing that I am concerned about is last Wednesday, Roku filed up to 4 million shares to offer up to the public. And that's really bad for a stock because it reduces the value for its existing investor share. So this is called dilution in the stock. And when there's dilution, a lot of investors are going to be wary. A lot of people are going to be selling off. And as you can see throughout the last 10 days, we were at the high of 134, and then we pulled back. I believe we pulled back about 27%.
This was what? This is a 20-day? Oh wow, this is 20.
No, I'm looking at my 10-day on my screen, but
Yeah.
we held that 108 area really, really strongly throughout the day, and I want to be looking at it for the week and see if volume escalates or not. If it breaks below this area, I have my levels set by dollars. I have 107, 105, and then I have 100 for the short side. For the upside, I really want to see us hold 108 throughout the day and then break 110. And then if we break 113, we can see a massive rally to 116. But all in all, this is set up really, really good technically for anybody that likes playing technically, if that's their style. There's also some fundamentals in this. That's why I am looking at it. The only thing that is stopping me from really playing it is I want to see more volume. The volume did pretty much liquidate a lot throughout last week. Pre-market, coming into today, as markets open, not really seeing anything too crazy, but again, anything can change. If something changes tomorrow during pre-market, it's going to be pretty nice. But something that I also started looking at was Spot. If you look at Spotify is on my radar.
Yeah, I heard some buzz about this one
So-
last week as well.
So something about Spotify, they're actually kind of playing their cards right in terms of growing their business. Recently, they actually signed Joe Rogan to solely
Yeah.
dedicate all his podcasts to Spotify. That's really big because Joe Rogan has a massive audience that are really, really loyal to just listening to what he says. I think that if Spotify steps further into this direction, they can see a lot of people just being loyal not only to their whoever's hosting the podcast, but as well as their own platform. This is a really smart move on them. I think that they're not too far off their highs. If you look at the yearly chart,
See, the thing is, something I wanted to mention. I just did the markup on it. They came into the all-time high, but they couldn't break. The all-time high was 197.16, and they couldn't even get it above, which I think that's interesting. Usually, when you have stock like this with volume like this and the catalyst like that, I mean, it's this was a huge fake out. A lot of people definitely chased at the top there and got sort of crushed. That's why I want to take a look at the fundamentals.
You can see it looks very overextended too, and this you can play either or. I have the level at 186 just to see if we can possibly fill that gap because we are indeed overextended. But the news was good. The volume's volume's kind of drying up now, which signals that maybe there isn't too much demand at this level. Maybe we need to pull back a little bit before we continue ripping highs. I like this chart just because, again, good news. Technicals line up really well. Volume's there. And yeah, Spotify.
Yeah, and this
right
is
now we're
similar to
trading
the
a little bit
Facebook.
below. Yeah.
This is similar to the all-time high.
If you look at the
Facebook,
technology
Alibaba.
sector overall,
Yeah, so that's something
we're
I
just
did.
really, really strong in the technology sector. And coming into the following week, I want to continue seeing that. All of last week when I checked what sector's leading, it was always technology. So technology really definitely held up last week. I want to see that again this week.
I also want to see some strength in financial sector. This is something that, if the market keeps on ripping, if we keep, sort of pushing these highs, we want to see the financial sector also rebound. That'll show us strength in the rally for sure. That's something that I heard, coming into this. But yeah, like Joseph said, tech is sort of leading the way, communication services as well, consumer goods not as strong, but yeah.
And we also had Serhat ask us about thoughts on VTIC.
Oh yes,
VIQ.
VTIQ, right? Yeah, we traded this. We traded this a while ago. This is something that's out of play for sure. If you look at this, I mean, I can tell you right off the bat, it's out of play because I remember the stock. It's like an acquisition holdings company. Basically, it got a pump on a news article, and it had this high, and then it sort of just dropped in both volume and action, price action. If you look at this, the choppiness here and here, this is just terrible. If you're stuck in this, that sucks. Yeah, this is something that's totally out of play for me until there's some news. Until there's news, I don't really have a setup for this. Not my style. Do you have anything to add?
No, I don't. I mean, also with Roku, by the way, I was reading into some articles and whatnot, but Roku, a lot of people are just getting scared out that the overall growth in subscribers and customers are going to lower as we get out of this quarantine. So again, Shiv touched on Netflix and how
the sympathy play
they really capitalized
Yep.
on getting getting people's attention while they're stuck indoors. And Roku, although it held up pretty strong while we were really like, I guess, stuck in the quarantine. I know a lot of us are going out more and stuff like that, but you can see that in the yearly and the daily, you can just see that a lot of people are pulling out. So I'm gonna just be looking at that more. I think it's a really interesting play here, as well as Disney. Those are gonna be my top two that I'm looking at because those are stocks that I know, and I know Roku at this 108 area is pretty significant. So I'm gonna be looking at how it holds or breaks the following week. Yeah, what time is it?
It's 9.
Yeah, I think that's about it, right? Almost.
Yeah.
If anybody
If anyone has
if
questions,
anybody has
or-
anything else that they want us to go over, just comment below. We'll, look into it. Definitely just let us know. What was the weakest? The weakest sector was energy
healthcare.
stocks. Yeah. Energy stocks were really weak. Hold on. I think something. So, I mean, did they have anything to ask or anything? If you guys have any questions or something we want.
It's delayed,
You guys-
so like you have to wait a little bit because the stream.
Oh.
I'm watching the stream on my phone. No, now it's good. Like now they see the thing. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. Have a good week. Good luck in your trading. Make sure
Yeah,
to.
thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everyone. Maybe we'll see you guys tomorrow morning for the morning stream at like 8:15 in the morning.
Wait, someone asked about DDOG.
Yeah, this is another hot name.
DDOG. It looks sexy.
Yeah, so similar setup to the TWLO. I mean, I had this on what I was looking at this before the webinar. I was running my scanner and I did see this one pop up. See, my thing is the options don't trade well on this, so I personally won't watch it. But if there is and it's also a $70 stock, yeah, I mean, it could work. Let's call that inflection. So 73.20 is going to be inflection on this name. And you have a support of 70 and then the resistance at 74, 73.89. Let's take a look at sort of the flow. So this one's Datadog. Harvall 104, ATR 364, short float of 3%, and institutional ownership. So nothing too special here fundamentally, but I know there's some news. So let's see what the news was. Earnings name, right? Yep, looks like an earnings name. This company beat by 8 cents. Beats revenue by 13.5 million. Shares are up 5.25%. Okay, so this is
The only thing
yeah,
I
this
kinda
is
see in
this is similar.
is
This
the
is very
options.
similar. Yeah, this is very
Look at the
similar to
options.
the. This is like very similar to the Facebook, not the Facebooks, to the Twilio, to the even the Shopify's. You can say like this is the same setup, give or take. That post market close is pretty strong. Let's take a look. What is it? DDOG. Yeah, I'm personally don't like trading these sort of options because there's no weekly expiration and
The options are really
good.
spready.
That's just at the close. That's a close thing. I bet that they.
No, but I bet when they open, like, look at the strikes. The strikes are really spready. 75,
they're
80.
just $5 apart. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't like playing options like that. I've had bad experiences with those. So I mean, if you want to play it, just be careful with it.
Yeah, watch the spread intraday, because when you have a option that's like 24 days out, I mean, that's fine. The expiration is not the problem. It's got open interest. I mean, there's like, 2,000-3,000 guys sitting behind this. I'm sure there are some institutions in this, even on the put side. Yeah, just be sure to look at the spread intraday. I don't think this is the spread right now. That's just because on the close, it gets a little weird. But yeah, look for that spread intraday. Look for the volume intraday as well. You want to make sure that, these guys that are holding on to these calls or these puts are actively sort of buying and selling. You want to make sure that there's liquidity in this. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck. And if there's a really large spread, like we see in the Shopify's and the Amazons and the Teslas, then you're going to get caught up. And that would not be a good look. But as far as the equity goes, similar setup to the Twilio, similar setup to the all-time high names, the Facebooks, the Shopify's. Really, when you have a setup like this, you pick your poison. I mean, you pick, what, A, what are you going to trade the best? B, what has the most catalyst behind it? What is going to move with market? Video, right? Yeah, when you have these setups and all-time highs, you just want to pick the best one, the one that you've traded the most, or the one that has the strongest fundamentals and the strongest, name for your product. If you're trading equities, then maybe there's a different stock that you want to trade. But if you're trading options, there are going to be more stronger stocks to trade for these options, such as Nvidia and Facebook. These are two stocks with really strong options market behind them. So just some things to consider. When you have setups like this, you don't want to get caught up watching all of them. I'm going to come into tomorrow. Right now, we have how many tickers on the watch list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 10 plus. We have 10 tickers on the watch list. I'm not going to watch all 10 of these tomorrow. I mean, simply we do this pre-market work, this post-market work, just to identify the long-term levels, identify the higher time frame charts, and then we're going to come into the market in the morning and see what we can make out of all of this information, what's moving in the pre-market, and what's the strongest name to play or to watch for that day. Especially it being Tuesday, and it's being the first day of the week, technically, of the trading week, I'm probably only going to watch 3 stocks, 4 stocks at most. Let's see where that takes us. But another thing that I just want to note real quick before we get off is this volume drop off here in the SPYs. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I didn't trade the Friday session, but I heard a lot of bad things about the Friday session. I heard there was no liquidity. I think Joseph said, everyone packed up and went to the Hamptons early. So, it's just something to watch. You want to make sure that the players are back and, the volume sort of steps up on Tuesday, come the open and intraday. So just some things to watch in terms of the market overall and volume within the stocks. But yeah, that's about it for now. We'll announce if we're going to go live in the morning tomorrow. And that's it. Thanks for joining. And as always, if you have any questions, just hit us up.
Yep.